here's the deal. One, to make sure I prioritize listening to the episode again, but also I'm not taking any notes during session because of my keyboard.
Just get some piece of paper.
And then I'll record them later.
That's why I went old school, because my keyboard does the same clackety clack.
Little post-it note.
I got a space situation here. I need a bigger desk.
Well, all right. I'm going to do the preamble.
I will say this desk upgrade is the best thing I've done in at least 5 years.
That man needs his house first.
Yeah. He's working on it.
Let me get a sip of tea, and then I'm doing the preamble, so here we go.
Tea. Late.
My scan
let me
is
get some
complete.
tea, too.
Look at that Earl Grey.
That Earl Grey looking motherfucker. All right, here we go.
My test came back clean, by the way.
No 10 days of pills and a shot.
How am I supposed to do a cold open when you start with my test came back clean?
my computer viruses, bitch.
Yeah, I knew what you were talking about.
I knew what you were talking. Oh my god! All right, here we go.
No,
that stays in.
In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war, and tonight there is only Warhammer. Welcome to the Tainted Hive, the first season of our Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Maledictum podcast. I am your GM, Brad, guiding our group. Joining me today are Justin, Eric, Mike, and Alex. We are here with the third episode of Season 1. Gentlemen, happy Warhammer.
Yes.
Happy indeed, sir.
Happy and Warhammer shouldn't be said in the same sentence. I'm just saying.
Does not apply.
It really does not apply. I mean, you think about it. Imagine waking up and you're in your favorite sci-fi universe and you're like, oh, this is so lovely. There's peace and energy and technology and people living on distant stars. And then you realize it's Warhammer 40,000 and you get to eat corpse starch.
What's corpse paste do to your breath? That's my question.
You know, we had a lot of really good questions about what is corpse paste versus corpse starch. And my personal favorite is, does it have different flavors based upon the body? I don't know the answer to that, and I don't want to try to decide.
The answer is a decisive yes.
I'll let you know in 2 sessions.
It's like, this man was a carnivore. This man was an herbivore. Which one tastes better?
Oh. Heretics are salty.
Oh. Ew. All right. To recap, so last episode was episode 2, and you had... Over the course of the last 2 episodes, you had landed upon Vol in the Hive city of Rokarth at the Mudgate. As you had stepped off of your ship and kind of broken out to try to start to track down this substance that Inquisitor Halakarn, had sent you to find, the Gratis, Dmitry, you were run over by someone who had been trying to escape the Macharian Vigilites, the Adeptus Arbites of the planet. And you found out that his name was Aragon, and he had been trafficking Gratis. He was taking it around to sell it, and he had multiple vials on him. You, working with your party, grilled him a fair bit. Quinton, you had spent some time making your way along the different ports and the different berths, trying to look into different crates, being completely unnoticed, despite walking right up to these things. And
sneaky.
Sneaky is one way to put it. And as Dmitry, you and Roderick spoke with Aragon about the Valathi knives, Rigel the Red, quickly Quinton came over as the Macharian Vigilites led by Petronilla came to that space. A little distraction from Roderick bought you guys a bit of extra time to allow Quinton to go forth and dive into Aragon's mind to try to make sure that what he was telling you was the truth, and more so than that he shared with you everything he had. Quinton, you found at the time that everything he told you was about as accurate as it could be. He had shared with you what he could, and really there was not much more to be gleaned from this individual. But much to your shock and surprise, as you handed him over to the Vigilites, he was roughly abused, kicked repeatedly to be woken up from the choking out he received from Dmitry before being hauled off to one of the Macharian Vigilite outposts for, I would say trial, but holding before his execution. And as we open on today, Petronilla had been talking to you all about the Gratis, speaking with you all briefly about what that substance was and how they were basically struggling to find a solution and stamp it out as well. And we left off with Quinton electing to purge his, or I believe the proper term is to purgate your warp charges. Now, because you are not in combat, despite the fact that you have, I believe, 7 warp charges, you don't have to add any modifiers. But let's start today with really quick. Go ahead and roll me a D100. Let's just get the dice rolling. Roll me a D100.
Here we go.
Oh, shit.
Let's find out what psychic phenomena we get.
We are
Don't
in
blow my
danger.
head up, please.
I rolled a 100.
Oh, shit.
Fuck.
Starting strong. Eric loves chaos.
That sounds
apparently.
bad.
If I catch a tentacle, I'm gonna be pissed.
So. Oh, my. Oh.
Good start.
Oh.
Are there tentacles? There's tentacles?
Never start less than 100.
Okay, do me a favor, and last, I want you to roll me one more 1d10 for the duration, and then I'll explain what happens.
5.
Okay, so for 5 minutes, Quinton, you mentioned that when your warp power is felt, there's kind of like I believe you said a buzzing that people hear. Yep. All 4 of you, do me a favor. Roll me a challenging +0 discipline test. No specialty, just discipline. And I need to roll one for the Vigilites.
God.
Discipline, huh? Shit.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
I'm not feeling very disciplined right now.
Nope,
No.
sure not.
I have a pretty big lack of discipline myself.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be
Oh, dude,
amazing.
willpower was my dump stat. That's not good.
So you're really disciplined. Cool.
Technically not a dump stat because I didn't choose it, but it's the lowest one by far.
You randomly dumped it.
Okay.
Yes,
so
sir.
real quick, I'm gonna just I need to make a note here. So for the purgation, did anyone fail their discipline check?
Oh yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're geeking. It's happening.
I failed in pretty epic fashion, honestly.
Okay.
I did as well.
Mine was like a -3.
-6.
So
Oh, shit.
here's what happens.
Nice.
So we have first death of the game. So we have a -3, a -6, and Roderick, how did you do?
-3.
Dmitry, how did you do then?
-3 as well.
Oh, okay, so we had 2 3s and a 6. All right. All 3 of you suffer a major stun. What that means is you may either move or take an action, but not both. Additionally, you have disadvantage on every test moving forward today until such time that this falls off. Now, this will fall off in about 20, 30 seconds. But the difference is that what happens with a 100 roll is that Quinton has basically, as he purgated his warp charges, summoned warp echoes into the entire zone. Now, because for explanation of what the zone is, because it only affects one zone, you see and you hear a thrumming, buzzing in your ears, and it's almost like it feels like you have a fly in your ear canal itself. Your ear canals vibrate. Your brain goes fuzzy. Your vision turns purple-black at the edges and seems to narrow in. And each of you hear echoing voices and sounds from past events and things yet to be. You hear screams, what sound like women and children. You hear bursts of laughter, this kind of hysterical, creepy, eerie, high-pitched laughter.
That was pretty damn good laugh. That's good.
You. I'm working on it. I'm trying.
Not bad, sir.
You also hear what almost sounds like a whispered beg, a voice, and all three of you are hearing the same whispers. Like you're hearing kind of the same things, and they're washing over you in these rolling waves. And you hear as this voice just goes, "Please, please, no, no." You hear, perhaps most eerie, a single voice that goes, You foolish souls. You will suffer at my hands." And after 5 minutes of this, as you all kind of sit there, and you'd imagine that you'd move, but you almost can't. Like, you're just kind of like, first it's the stun, but then it's just this like rolling, boiling feeling over your body. Now, Quinton, question. You're in that zone as well. Did you roll the test or do you not?
I did. I got a +2.
Okay. So you're watching this and you know exactly what's happening.
Quentin's going to start laughing.
What a dick.
Quinton, I would like for you to please make an awareness sight test.
Awareness sight.
Challenging +0.
It's a little more remarkable than your character
Dmitry's
should be capable
punching
of,
him
if
in
you
the
ask
face.
me.
Yes. 2.
+2. Okay. Now, when you purgate, correct me if I'm wrong, but that means that your psychic static is gone at the time that you
I'm
purgate,
still sustaining
correct?
it. No, I'm still sustaining it.
Can you
It
purgate your charges? Because that does cause a charge while sustaining. I read that and I could not determine.
Yes, I can. Well, as I'm sustaining it, my warp charges drop down to whatever the level is that I'm still sustaining.
Okay, so you dropped 6 charges, you remain at 1. That makes sense. That's what I thought I read, but I wasn't sure.
As long as you're sustaining it, you cannot drop that warp charge.
Do me a favor. Do you remember your psychic static roll to be
+10.
nondescript? +10. Okay.
Jesus.
So the Arbites all passed the check. They already have a +40 versus your +40, so +4 versus +4. However, with the situation happening here, I'm going to give them each an additional +1, so they're going to get +5 versus your +4 to see if they can see you. The reason being is that you alone, aside from the 3 Arbites in front of you, one of them is doubled over holding his head, but Petronilla and 2 of her associates are not doubled over. In fact, they are grabbing weapons and looking. So they are aware. They're not idiots. They know something's happening. So they're going to get a little bit of a bonus, but I still don't think they're going to beat your +10. We'll find out. And they have to roll to find you. I believe it's discipline, correct?
Don't know if it's discipline. Let me just double check.
I can't remember. I know it's not awareness. It's something weird.
It was +40 something. I don't remember what it was.
Yes, +40. Awareness any.
Awareness any. Okay. That makes more sense. I was like, for some reason, I thought it wasn't awareness, but it is. All right. So let's go with... Okay. Well, somehow, their eyes seem to slide right over you. 2 of them rolled 77s, which, with that bonus, is still a success, but only 3 levels. Petronilla, you see as her eyes seem to almost pause at the space where you are, and then keep sliding. It's almost like she's this close to seeing you, but just can't. She only had 8 levels. She got darn close. But as you have kind of purgated your warp charge, every single person in this area is like crawling and stepping away as quickly as they can. The air, just for the rest of you, the air has gotten almost colder for just the briefest moment. And Quinton, your awareness sight test on a challenging +0 was what? How many success levels?
+2.
Okay, so with a +0, because this second part would be challenging. You thought that everyone was doubled over. But you see a single person off at the very edge, where you know the extent of this event is ending, with a brown cloak pulled up, looking carefully. And as they realize that the Arbites are looking as well, they turn on their heels and they disappear back into the crowd. You understand that the feel that you got by seeing them, they are probably also touched by the warp.
So did I get recognition from them that they knew something, what was happening?
Hard to tell with a +0. Hard to tell from this distance, but you're not an idiot, and you would recognize that if someone is feeling what's happening and looking, they probably have some idea of what to be looking for. Exact specifics of that would be a little harder to deign.
Quinton's going to say out to the party, since as far as he's aware, no one actually has noticed that he's there, but the party is still aware that he's there. He's going to say to them, I think there's another psyker around here. And he just went off that direction. He's going to point off the direction.
What?
Has our stun worn off yet, or is it?
Your stun is off at this point, yeah.
Okay.
So
you're
still
hearing the whispers, or?
Oh yeah. Your stun
Okay.
lasted for about 30 to 45 seconds. The major impacts of that then wear off, but as part of this kind of the warp echoes, it's almost as you're trying to move out of the zone, like you recognize that it's happening in the area you're in. The three of you, though, there's no test applicable, so you don't realize that it's only where you are. You think it's just happening. So it's not like you're aware of being able to struggle away to get out of this.
So, real question. If I'm in this, I'm hearing these whispers. I don't think this has probably happened to me too often before, if at all.
No, sir.
Can I even tell the difference between Quinton and the whispers? Like, does he just sound like another whisper to me, or can I discern between reality and the warp?
You can discern between reality and the warp. However, You are correct that this would be a new phenomena for you, actually for most of you. Mordecai especially, being from a feral world, this is probably not something you've experienced.
This shit is whack.
I would like Quinton to do at this time, immediately after what he said, he is going to cast Telepathic Link and attempt to force a connection with each of them.
Okay. Go ahead and make that roll.
28.
Not me eagerly waiting in anticipation, hoping he misrolls.
This is Warhammer and all, but my body, my choice, man.
Ooh, I actually just barely got +4.
You just barely got a +4. Come on.
Well, I needed to get high enough to connect to each of them.
That's out of my head, weirdo.
I needed a minimum +3.
Yep.
In order to connect.
I just was hoping you were going to, critically fumble your roll so we could have some real entertainment happen.
Not yet, anyways. But that I'm going to start sustaining that. That's going to be 3 more additional warp charges. But then I'm forcing a telepathic link with each one of them.
Okay.
And I am going to immediately start saying in the telepathic link, calm your guys' self. This is fine. It will pass.
Who is this?
Do we recognize his voice?
You would recognize his voice. He's projecting into your minds. The question I have is...
I get that. I understand it. I'm still asking.
No,
I'm also,
totally understood.
At this point, also sharing with them my emotion of trying to be a calming presence to them.
Okay.
Because with telepathic link, I can also share emotions instantaneously across any distance.
Literally nothing about this is okay.
So Quinton, my question about telepathic link, and again, remember, I have read through the warp psychic powers. The minute you selected what you were doing, I knew I had to know some of them. I'm not going to remember all of this. Does telepathic link, I know it allows you to talk one way. Does it allow the return?
Yes.
Okay.
It's two way, and it's actually all of us. We can all communicate with each other.
So you guys are all on a group call.
That sounds like a mess.
You're all in a group call, and you feel Quinton's trying to kind of push a calming presence upon you.
We can communicate words and ideas with swift, silent efficiency.
So it's kind of like
you can mentally share messages, emotions, and ideas instantaneously across any distance.
So it's kind of like
do we know we can do all this?
And we're just talking over each other in our heads. This is going to be just like real life, what we're doing right now.
Going to be just like this podcast, and everyone gets excited.
Specifically, are we aware of the capabilities of the link?
I would say
specifically sharing images.
I would say
You can't share images. You can share messages, emotions, and ideas.
Get
I
the
would
updated
also-
version.
Idea is basically an image sometimes.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
I would say go ahead and roll me a. Let's see if you would know what this is. Go if you have lore warp, which I doubt you do. You can roll that.
dude, there's no
Otherwise-
such thing.
Yeah. Otherwise, I would say.
I have a psychic mastery skill.
How do you have a psychic mastery
I
skill?
don't know, man. It's on the it's not an added skill. It's just whatever's on the character sheet.
It's like a base one.
It's a base.
Yeah.
Okay, so I tell you what. Roll
Yeah.
me because you're going to end up using just your willpower because I know you don't have advances in that.
That's
think.
all this is.
Go ahead and everyone, let's do this. Roll me a psychic mastery at a. It's not going to be +0. It is going to be a hard -20 test.
I literally
on.
cannot pass it.
You can if you roll a 0, 0-1 to a
Sure.
0-5.
94.
87.
Minus
-3.
-60.
It's actually a
That'll
good
be-
roll. Still -3.
It's a -5.
-3, -5, and auto. 94 is not an auto failure. I apologize, but it is a
I mean,
negative.
It's kind of like an auto failure.
It's just basically.
So,
It's high as fuck.
Certainly not an auto success.
Nope.
Dmitry, you have absolutely no idea how this works back and forth. Like, you don't even understand the basics of it. Roderick,
Perfect.
Mordecai as well. None of you are realizing you can talk back. So, Quinton, you project your message and you project this calm, and you're just hit with this, almost like this wave of, what the hell is going on? What is this? Ah! Like, all three of their mental
Specifically,
freakouts.
mine goes, why the fuck do I hear quinoa in my head? I'll shoot him if I see him. Fuck.
I'm gonna have to go stand behind Roderick.
My hand is literally on my lace pistol.
I'm gonna
On your
start
what?
playing with his hand too.
Yeah, I said lace pistol, Brad. It's not going
God.
away.
God damn it.
If it makes sense, it makes sense. I'm sorry that Warhammer's wrong.
Ah!
How do we hang somebody up?
Inquisitor, this one right here. So, Quinton, you are hit with all of those, including Roderick saying, quinoa, why are you in my head? How do you respond?
I'm responding to him. We'll pass. This is normal. And we can telepathically talk to each other. I did this so that we can talk in front of, what's her face? I have no idea who she is.
I believe her name was Citronilla.
Oh, I'm saying that in character. I don't know what her name is. I don't know who she is. I'm like, this lady.
As a reminder, as the GM, Quinton has not been around with Petronilla yet, so he really does not know who she is.
I
Got
don't
it.
trust her right away, so I'm immediately just making it so we can talk in front of her without her noticing. No,
Hey, Quinton.
I know I can talk in front
Hey,
of her,
Quinton.
but you guys can't respond.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Petronilla up your ass. I just bust out laughing out loud at that point.
Dmitry also laughs his ass off.
So, as this interaction is happening, the warp goes are fading, the buzzing in your ears and kind of that vibration of your cerebral cortex of your brain itself dies down. The purple-black kind of edging of your vision fades, like pulls away, and your vision comes back in full. As the event ends, you see as Petronilla is looking around, and you would have noticed this at this point, those of you who interacted with her prior, but she's looking around very, very warily, and she turns to you all and she goes, "Right. I believe we have a bit of a problem here. If you three are fine, we need to head off and try to understand what just happened. Must be an unsanctioned psycho waiting to be dealt with. Perhaps we should call the Inquisitors." And she's looking over her shoulder at one of her colleagues, and the other member of the Macharian Vigilites looks up and goes, "Aye, ma'am. Nothing wrong with getting rid of him."
A mention of an unsanctioned psyker, Quinton just starts bursting out laughing.
But because you haven't booped them, they really don't notice you.
This is really awkward next to the authorities.
So Quinton is a Inquisitor, right? Like that's his background, or was an Inquisitor, or was part of the Inquisition?
I've worked with them in the past.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Mordecai is really
briefly
questioning whether or not he got pricked by that needle we took off that guy, because this is very new.
Real quick, Quinton, just to make sure my notes are correct. Static shock plus the telepathic link. You are at 5 warp charges or 4?
4.
Okay.
Telepathic link is 3, and it's psychic static, and that's 1.
So telepathic link does not increase for additional people. It still maintains the 3.
No.
Okay, good to know.
It's 3 regardless if I pass or fail. I guess if you crit, it could go down to 1, but
Good. Okay, so Mordecai, you wonder if you've been pricked by the needle.
I'm pretty sure I'm tripping, dog.
So, as the warp echoes fade, and you see as Petronilla and the other Macharian Vigilites head off, they're making their way through the crowd itself, trying to find, and you can see that they are on high alert. They are looking for what the cause of this disturbance was. You are now free again to continue your search for Inquisitor Halakarn. You have, at this point, scoped out the mud gate to some capacity. You have a bit of information there. But what would you like to do?
We haven't went to the safe house, and we haven't went to what's his name? Regal?
Regal. It's Raguel. I'm pronouncing it Regal, but
It is Raggle, the red.
Raggle. We'll call him Raggle.
Raggle. Big ragu.
Big
Do the
ragu.
Raggle Rock.
So you've spoken with Petronilla. You've gotten her side of the Gratis. You've gotten Aragon's side of the Gratis. You are correct. You have not yet gone to the Thaler Hostelry, and you also have not visited the Cathedrum of Obligatory Modesty, both of which you have from your data slate from Inquisitor Halakarn.
Yeah.
We also know that Mr. Ragu can be found at that Edifice of Tears bar.
Well, if he's not at the first location, yeah.
Sure.
The first location is the Battery Manufactorum 6.938.
Yes.
Yes. Now, one thing we did not highlight that I think is important for you all to understand is, obviously, we talked about the numerics system of 6.938, meaning 6,938. The other side of that is how a hive is layered. Okay? Hives grow vertically. Level 1 is always the bottom level, most often the ground level, and then you have sublevels below that. Higher levels have higher numbers. So the other option, and I'm not going to say that's what it is, but just your characters would have this as a backup, is 6.938 could also mean not just that it's number 6,938. It could mean that it's the 938th Manufactorum of the 6th hive level. That is a possibility as well. That being said, in most cases, hive level is denoted HL with a number followed by that number. So in character, you would recognize that it probably means it's 6,938. You need to then determine what level that is on.
And it doesn't go 1,000 per floor.
You're unsure.
Sure. Okay.
Given that we know nothing of Regal, and we have this contact at the safe house as a place to go with people who live here, maybe we should go there first and see if we can get any information from them.
Well, we could also go try and find Vidame Gular. Question him for the same stuff. I'm assuming, do we know where the Cathedrum of Obligatory Modesty is?
You do not. So keep in mind, this is
so
all
maybe
of
we
your
didn't do the
first
safe
time
house.
into Rokarth. To find your way around Rokarth may require some digging, asking, trying to find your way, because, being from a hive city, Roderick, you would understand that if you don't know the hive, It is very, very easy to get lost.
Would I know, having been raised basically on a hive, where maps might typically be, or like a directory of some kind?
You would know that most often there are centralized maps, normally in areas of main lifts that would point to major items of that level of the hive. You would also know that the lower the level of the hive, the less accurate that map may be, because those maps are probably not kept up with all of the different changes, gantry collapses, other events that happen level to level. At the same time, many things remain the same for millennia. So a manufactorum that doesn't fail will continue to operate in that space as long as it can.
Or a cathedrum, for example, would probably be
the cathedrum of obligatory.
pretty consistent.
Yep, exactly. I also want to check. Someone had mentioned that the Edifice of Tears was a bar, and I'm looking through my notes. I don't remember saying that, so I just wanted to make sure that
Edifice of Tears is a second place and a good place for a drink, is what you told us. You didn't necessarily say it was a bar,
then
but you said it was a good place for a drink.
Carry on.
My notes are straight ass when I look back at them. I have the words correct, but with no context. So
Continuing on.
I think going back to the safe house kind of is a good starting point, and then we can
since we don't really
figure
know
out
where
we
to go
next.
Do we even know where that is, though?
nope, we don't.
I think we should go to the main lift and take a look at what's on this level, and then work our way from there.
Okay, so you want to make your way to the main lift.
Yeah.
Not hard to do. From the mud gate, there are huge arching entryways that go off in different directions. There are more than 6. So as you keep in mind again that the mud gate is you were told that it was the center of the vertical trade of Gratis. Roderick, being a hiver, I'm not going to make you roll. You understand that means that there is a big lift nearby where you can go essentially almost anywhere in the hive. You see the largest queue of people that you had seen prior, all waiting to get onto some of these massive lifts. And there are a set of 3 of them along the eastern wall, near one of those large gates that go off into the floors. You make your way there, picking your way through the crowd. And you have a few folks who kind of bump into you. You see another group of Macharian Vigilites going by. All of you, go ahead and give me a challenging +0 awareness sight test. And I will add that if you have awareness sound as a specialty, you may make that roll. You can use those specialty points as well. And the sound test would be a routine +20. So it's a sight and sound off the same roll.
-2.
+3 and +5.
+3 and +5. -2 for one or both, Quinton.
Only the first one, because I don't know. I don't think I have it the second one.
Well, it's sound. So, I mean, you're just making a audible test, which would be at a +20.
Okay, then I guess it would be a +0.
+0, -2, +3, +5.
You said it's a +20?
The sound is a routine +20. The sight is a challenging +0. So, Dmitry, you have a +2. Is that for your sight?
Which one has the bonus again? The sound?
Sound.
So then I've got a +0 then.
We all
I don't have the sound.
You don't have to have awareness sound. What I'm saying is I'm having you roll 2 tests simultaneously.
So, for example, I have a +1 natural roll, so that's sight of +1, sound +3. Right?
We all failed our in real life audible test.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't catch it. It was
for sure.
Let me explain this again. Keep your rolls.
Yep.
You have a dual test happening simultaneously. It is awareness. Okay. We are testing your awareness for both sight and sound. The reason why I'm sharing that is if any of you have specialties, which I doubted at this point, in either of those, you're going to add them to the applicable rolls. The sight is a challenging +0. The sound is a routine plus 20. So what that means is if you were to roll a 30, your sight would be a 30. Your sound would be a 10. If you were to have specialties in awareness sound, then you would adjust it like that. Does that make sense?
No, you said it backwards, I think, because you said plus 20, not minus 20.
Correct. A 10 is a better roll. Remember, rolling low is better.
You do your math on your dice differently than I do. So
I probably do, yeah.
I would just increase
what I actually normally do is I normally roll my dice,
I increase
check my
the
score,
target
and then
number.
add. Yeah, which is fine.
Okay. So I was adding my dice wrong anyway, but so I have a 1 and a 3 then.
1 and a 3, 3
Same.
and a 5, 1 and a 3, still a 2 and a negative 2 and a 0?
Yep.
Beautiful. Okay. Quinton, you barely hear something. However, the rest of you have successful enough rolls, and Mordecai, you'll get the most detail. You see a few of the members of the Macharian Vigilites grabbing another member out of the crowd, another person out of the crowd. And this person seems to be kind of frail, has wide, wild eyes. And at this point, you've moved fairly far from where you were when Quinton did his purgation. And you see as this person is just wide-eyed staring at them. Dmitry and Roderick, you just see him getting grabbed, and very quickly you see a las pistol out and a shot fired. You hear the crack of the las. Quinton, you also hear the crack, but that's all you have. You don't see what happens.
I duck.
Mordecai, with your rolls, you see that as they grab this person who looks afraid, viciously the eyes narrow, and it almost looks like a little bit of a flare of almost like electricity seems to almost come from their eyes as they get ready to lunge out, and you see a hand beginning to lunge towards the Macharian Vigilite as the las cracks.
Does he say anything while he's lunging?
No, you're too far away to hear that.
How far away am I?
You'd be about 25 meters.
I'm gonna try to move silently and get close to the situation.
Okay.
To see if I can hear anything.
All right. So go ahead and I need a reminder of move silently. I know it adds to your stealth.
Yeah, it's a specialization in my stealth.
Okay.
While he's doing that, Quinton is diving behind Roderick.
Okay. All right. So with your move silently, that just adds to your stealth check. So what I'd like for you to do is go ahead and give me that stealth, and use that specialization for move silently.
+1.
Okay. So you're able to move fairly quietly, which I'm going to give you an additional +20 because you're in a very loud section of the hive itself. So you'll have 3 success levels to quietly move up. I'm going to pose you with pose you really quick and just see if they even notice you. Probably not because they're a bit distracted. So somehow one of them rolled extremely well. You move very quietly through the crowd and assisted with all the noises. However, as you get a little closer, you see as one of them looks up to you and kind of quickly points the las, and you realize it's one of the individuals you had seen with Petronilla. They put it down and they look to you and they go, nothing to see here. And you see at his feet is, like I said, that kind of thin, emaciated looking person who you see was in a brown robe over workers' blues, the hood thrown back, a burn hole just right on his temple.
I'm just curious why I heard a las pistol.
Motherfucker.
How did your party die? Oh, we had a difference in opinion on the pronunciation of a word.
I'm going to say this again. If the audiobooks that come out of the developer, out of Games Workshop, out of Warhammer all say las, I'm going to drop a Blackstone Fortress on you harder than Abaddon did on Cadia.
He's still going to say it, though.
I know he is.
Still going to say it.
So,
bro.
Mordecai, as you kind of say that, they look to you and they go, unsanctioned psyker. Made a lunge for us. Had to take care of him. Too bad. Black ships would have paid well for this one. They're kicking.
Well, very good work anyway. Thank you for keeping us safe.
Mordecai,
and then I'll
do me
just head back.
Do me a favor. Roll me an intuition check.
Sure, man.
It'll be... your knowledge of the black ships is probably not great, so we'll call it a difficult -10.
-10. Intuition, eh?
Intuition.
+3.
I would say if you have any specializations in human, I would allow it.
No.
Okay, so +3.
Yes.
You don't know much about the black ships, but you know enough about people and the things they say during actions that maybe aren't perfectly amenable. And something about what this specific Vigilite has said is rubbing you the wrong way. You don't necessarily think he's lying, but the fact that he said something about the black ships paying and then kicked the man doesn't sit right, and you're not 100% sure why. That's all you're really able to intuit at this time.
Man, I wish I had a deeper understanding of 40k lore.
So, Brad, I have a question for you.
Certainly, you had a telepathic link with a psyker.
The black ships, that's the psychers that are provided to them, that's a tithe that's determined by the Adeptus Administratum.
Correct. So normally the Adeptus Administratum would assign a tithe to a world, which includes their tithe to the black ships. However, the black ships can also be called in for any unsanctioned psyker if they're in the region to collect them, test them, and see if they would rather be fed to the God Emperor.
But it's
of mankind.
effectively a donation.
Yes.
Okay.
It's more than a donation; it's a requirement. You're supposed to do whatever.
But I mean, it's a donation in the sense that money's not changing hands. Like, I gave you 100 psychers, I get 100 solars. Kind
it's
of.
Not
money
like
is
that
not
at all.
involved,
right?
So Mordecai, to give you that little brief bit, they're 100% correct. The black ships are part of the grander Imperium that collect psychers or psychically touched individuals for testing. Some, like Quinton, survive and are approved to go out into the world. Others are fed their souls to the God Emperor to make sure that the beacon of light through the warp that allows the ships to travel continues.
As you're saying all of this, it's yes. I remember reading it now.
That's okay. Your character doesn't know enough to understand that piece of it. That's why the money changing hands doesn't feel right, but you don't know why in character.
I'm just going to make my way back to them because I don't have any questions for these guys. And I'm just going to say to Quinton, it looks like they killed one of you. One of yours.
Damn.
Oh, that's a shame. I could have had some fun with him.
He said that he wanted to sell him to the black ships.
At the mention of a black ship, Quinton visibly starts shaking.
I guess I'll probe a little. What is this about the black ships? Why would they sell him to that? I mean, I'm from a feral world. I don't know shit about this, right?
Not at all.
I mean,
feral worlds, death worlds, unless you've been around psychers. Now, let me walk that back 2 steps. Almost everyone in the Imperium knows the rumors of the black ships, especially in your world where you're from, given your background of kind of the semi-nomadic life of all the tribes and such. Your concrete knowledge of the black ships would be the equivalent of terrifying fairy tales to scare children at night.
Sick.
But Quinton, do you respond at all to his question? Because I'm not going to make you roll. You actually know the answers.
Not right away. Quinton is basically more or less, as you see him visibly shake, kind of stuck. You see him like his eyes almost rolling back, like he's going back to that hell that he went through when he was on his black ship, reliving parts of it, and then he's trying to snap himself out of it.
Okay.
I see this may have struck a chord with you. I apologize. Maybe we should move on.
Black ships are terrifying. You said they would get paid for it, though. That is strange.
He said it's a shame that they won't, that he would have fetched a pretty penny, and now he will get nothing.
Something about that seems wrong.
It felt weird, but what would I know?
Seeing Quinton geeking out over there, Dimitri's going to go over and, without permission, just start running his diagnostor up and down Quinton. Do you require injection?
Quinton just kind of looks at him. Sure. Why not?
I'll take one too.
Can I do that? I gotta look. I don't know if I can actually do that shit.
You got some of that juice.
The best part of this is that the group medicator or field medic asking, would you like an injection for your shakes? And then going, wait, do I actually have the stock?
Nobody ever says yes.
Yeah. I'm going to type a few buttons. You are fine.
He punches a few buttons on the diagnoster.
Yeah.
So, Dmitry, you key a few codes on the diagnoster, and as it's running, you're getting the runes and the symbols on it that basically show that Quinton has no pathogenic or virological infection. And you just kind of let it go.
But you will see if it checks his heart rate. His heart is racing right now.
A diagnostic tool should show a heart rate. Let's say that.
Yeah.
As this is happening and you guys continue to make your way towards those lifts, you eventually find your way to the large map of the level that you're on. And you realize that the mud gate, being, again, one of the largest ports of entry to this sector, to the hive, is on the second level. So it says HL2. It's not on the first level, so there are things below this, but it says HL2. And Roderick, being from a hive, you would recognize that doesn't necessarily mean there's something directly below this. It means that if you were to walk through those massive archways, you would be on the second level of the hive. You are very low. That is normal. The massive, like all the landers, all the ships, sure, they can land on some of the higher spires, but a port of this size on a hive would have to be low to basically support the sheer volume. Given that, there are also massive influxes of foodstuffs. As I mentioned earlier, Promethium. You have pilgrim ships, perhaps. Probably rarer to come in and drop people off, but to pick people up to try to go to a shrine world, perhaps. And then more so than that is obviously the main output of Rokarth being Lazpaks. Weaponry. Not weaponry per se, ammo. But as you look at this map, it's massive. I mean, it's the level alone. The map is one of the larger ones that's meant to kind of show, and you see the little runic mark that says you are here. The map is 5 meters wide by 3 meters tall. And sections of it are written in script that is so tiny you feel like you would need a ladder just to try to see what it says. But at a cursory glance, you do not see any of the different areas you are trying to find your way to. You don't see any mention of the...
Could I roll a navigation check to try and find what I'm looking for a little more adeptly?
Is there perhaps a concierge desk or anything?
There is not a concierge desk.
Is there a nasty-ass servitor laying around?
There's the right question. So, Roderick, you don't need to roll a navigation check. Next to the map, there is what's called a servitor, or in this case, it would be like a cogitator, which is for lack of a better phrase, it's a computer. The cogitator sits there, and it has a runic screen filled with green runic script that reads out in Gothic as to what information you're looking for. There's a small queue to get there, but you see that you can easily access the cogitator if needed to try to find where you need to go or what you're looking for.
Yeah, I'll wander over to it.
Okay. So you make your way there, and there's a couple people in front of you, and they make their way through the use of the cogitator. And the person in front of you begins to, with 2 fingers, slowly punch the runes. And you realize it's a kind of an older woman, slightly hunched back. You hear her go, "This cacking world. What do you mean it doesn't exist?" And she smacks the side of the cogitator. Not very hard, very frail. And she goes, delete.
I'll bite. I'll go up to her and be like, "Excuse me, ma'am. Can I help you find something?"
That depends. Do you know Rokarth? Hits the button.
No, but I am
Runes begin to
might be
run.
quicker on a cogitator than you seem to be.
She looks at you, and as she turns to you, you realize, so she has, you're up there. She has pulled back graying hair that is very thinning. She has almost what appear to be liver spots on her skin, kind of hunched over. Her skin is stretched over her bones, but it's not like an unhealthy color. It's almost tan. As she turns to you, you realize that she has only one eye, the second eye being missing, with no artificial implant, no kind of like augmentic, and not even eye patch. There's just scar tissue there. She looks at you, and she narrows her one eye, and she goes, "Didn't your parents ever tell you to respect your elders?" Punches a few more keys and goes, "Cack it all, you're right, I'm slow. I'm trying to find my way to my son's home." She's still punching away at the keys, and she goes, "Can't seem to locate him. Would you be so kind?" She backs away to let you have the cogitator.
Do I know?
Out of character.
Yeah, can cogitators do that, like by name or like?
No. I was going to have you roll for that, but no. You're from a hive world. You don't need to roll. The cogitators can't really. A base level cogitator like this, which is meant to give you just broad spectrum of where do I need to go or where are certain major items, would not be able to find a single resident of a 30 billion person location. Not this kind of cogitator.
Justin, do you have advances in data delving?
Is that a skill?
Well, there's talents, and then I think
I have no talent of such variety.
and then I think tech would be the skill, right?
I have no advances in that either. I kind of suck at it, to be honest.
Well, Dmitry's going to let you keep yip-yapping to this old lady, but this is sort of my bag, so I'm going to be
If
next
you're
to you.
next to me, I am actually going to kind of put a arm around the lady and be like, "Look here, let me explain a few things to you," and I'm going to use my distracting talent to distract her from what she's doing so that Dmitry can jump in here and find what we're looking for.
All right. So
hit on to
considering
This is no problem. My second aunt, she was greatest cogitator typer of entire land.
I'm going to mentally communicate to Dmitry to go to the cogitator while I distract the old lady and
all right.
explain to her how cogitators don't work.
All right.
Quinton's going to follow him, and he's going to start poking at the keyboard while he's doing it, just adding extra characters in the middle of what he's doing.
Okay.
I slap his hand out of the way.
He keeps doing it.
Sporkid, fuck off.
I think in my head, if I notice this at all, I'll just be like, "Quinoa, don't make me shoot you."
I just have this image now of like Dmitry going up there all serious, like trying to quickly type in, and Quinton's just reaching between his arms and punching one rune in the middle and punching another one.
Keep slapping
Basically
this
what he's doing. He's just
child out of the way
I think it's funny that Quinton's move is just walk up to something, boop
and
it,
boop it.
continue to boop it.
Doesn't
The
matter.
dude's
if it's
getting smoked.
doesn't matter if it's a cogitator, a person. We'll get to whatever else it could be.
You're
going to
be the first party member to get killed by the party.
If the warp doesn't get him first.
Yeah.
Okay, so since you're not trying to deceive or lie, there's no roll needed. The distracting talent just allows you to take this over and and I believe, as we said last time, it allows you to cause disadvantage on any of her checks, right?
Right.
I'm going to say that, let's see if she...
and if that doesn't work, I could always Gothic gibberish her ass and stun her while he does it, so...
I tell you what, she doesn't roll well enough to not be distracted, so she, you begin to tell her how cogitators do not work, and she begins to kind of chat with you a little bit. You hear she looks at you at one point and she goes, you look a bit like my son. Is that you? She reaches up and kind of pinches your cheek and she goes, no, he'd be older than you. And you continue explaining how cogitators work, and as you're getting into the details of how it can't locate one person, she looks at you again and she goes, did I tell you that you look a bit like my son?
Man, we know how this bitch lost her eye.
Pinches you again on the cheek and just goes, no, you're not him. I'm sorry. You don't have to roll to realize she is very old and potentially borderline senile.
I'm going to look around in the crowd a little bit while I'm talking to her. Do I see anybody who has somewhat similar features to me?
Roll me a awareness sight. You're trying to do this while conversing with her. Let's call it a -20.
That's a 7 on the die, so that is +4.
Okay, despite the fact that it's very hard for you to maintain the conversation.
Sorry, +2, you gave me a -20.
-20.
Yep.
Despite the fact that it's difficult for you to maintain this conversation while trying to identify someone who looks kind of like you and you could pass it off, you actually see, waiting to go through a checkpoint to board a shuttle, you see a man who doesn't look exactly like you, but passable enough. Similar height, similar build, slightly lighter hair color, but
sure,
it might work.
Whatever. Seeing that she's got one eye and probably can't see that well in the first place, I'm going to point at him and be like, well, is that your son? See, look there. I'm going to point at the guy.
She looks over and, oh gosh, you're distracting her. Oh no, you're distracting her, which means she gets disadvantage. Okay, well, her pass of a 37 becomes a fail with a 73, and she goes, pats you on the arm and goes, you're a very kind soul. Thank you. And begins to walk her way towards this unassuming man who's just trying to go through a security
I don't
checkpoint.
even say anything like happy to help or anything. I disengage immediately. I don't want anything to do with that situation.
You're gonna get her killed, dude.
So, all right. So, Dmitry, as you're punching in the runes and Quinton's booping in here.
I've got some shit to do here. I'm looking through my...
Talk to me.
So I'm going to fold down my vest a bit and access my tactical data slate that I have.
Okay.
And I'm going to plug into this cogitator to interface with tech equipment or machines to get that sweet +20 to whatever I'm finna roll.
Love that. Okay.
Continue.
So you get a +20 to this. What I'd like for you to use is you're going to use the cogitator. So I will say, give me a linguistics check.
What?
One of the languages of linguistics, is Cipher, and cogitators and Imperium computers in general, Imperium systems run on a series of codes that make it easier to utilize.
Okay.
Given what you're trying to do, and given that you're trying to essentially get answers faster, that would be, in my opinion, probably one of the best ways to look at this. The other option is if you have advances in logic investigation, I would allow that. But I think
I have advances in tech to backdoor this bullshit, but
let's use tech then. If you have advances in tech and you can backdoor it, you're not trying to go through the front, you're trying to get behind, go that way.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. That's my motto. Okay. So what am I rolling? Or what? All right, anyway, I'm going to roll.
Roll it and I'll
roll in my tech.
I'll tell you the modifier. Okay. You're rolling tech.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm rolling tech.
You're trying to backdoor a cogitator. So you're trying to get through the back end and get through the security systems. We're going to call this... We'll call it -10. It's just going to be difficult.
It's negative. Okay, so hang on. So I've got 2 successes with the flat roll, plus I have plus 20.
Okay.
So that would be 4 successes, minus 1 for the negative
3 success
10, right?
levels. Perfect.
3 success levels.
Okay, so with 3 success levels, you have an impressive success. So you begin punching in the codes, and you see as a few security things come up, but you're just like, a couple keystrokes.
McAfee, what is this?
Uninstall. Restart. Uninstall. You get through the security tests very quickly. You're actually mildly baffled that the security is so poor on this cogitator until you realize that it doesn't have access to the secure lines within the hive. As soon as you're in the back end, you realize the data it has is very limited. It is meant for public access. It's meant for helping people navigate. What specifically are you looking for? Are you looking for the 3 different kind of locations that you had?
Yeah, I am. Let me pull up what I was doing here. Yeah, locations or routes, if I can. I don't know if I can download them to my data slate. Do we have GPS?
You won't have GPS per se, but you could download the
like
maps to your data slate. Yeah, you can absolutely download the maps.
So I'd be looking at anything location-wise for the... what is this?
The different things
The Cathedrum of Obligatory Modesty. Yeah, all 3 of those places.
Okay. So...
and if I can, if there's anything on this, either the Vilathi knives or this Ragu the Red.
Okay. Ragu the Red. Pasta
Big
sauce.
Ragu.
And Battery Manufactorum 6.938.
Okay. So with your tech and with backdooring the security to get through, you very quickly download a few maps to your data slate. You find that the Cathedrum of Obligatory Modesty is located in a section of Hive Level 1. It is in an area where there are numerous facilities and numerous cathedrums. In fact, as you kind of look where it is, you realize that it's paired with 3 others very similar to it in terms of shape and size. So you have a base idea of how to get there. You know that you need to take the lift down and then move through level 1. You also find information on the Thaler hostelry. You find that it's almost a footnote, and it's in the lower hive. So that is on sublevel 17. The hostelry is denoted under an older Hab facility name that has been redacted, and you glean that it is a Hab facility in level 17 where there are numerous living groups, numerous living Habs. The third location that you look for is Battery Manufactorum 6.938. You find that the Manufactorum is located on sublevel 6. So it's on the 6th sublevel.
Mm-hmm.
And you find, again, a map where it is kind of highlighted and you're able to download that to your data slate. And last but not least, the Edifice of Tears. Now, the Edifice of Tears, you're kind of punching in the code, and with a +3, you do still find it. It takes a minute. You're actually kind of a little shocked at how long it takes, but you do find the Edifice of Tears. And what you find is that it is actually a monument, and it is located... It is also
Spill
actually...
the beans, Brad.
I'm double checking. Double checking.
Not the fava beans.
So you notice that the Edifice of Tears is located on Hive level, sublevel 2.
Okay.
Yeah, just sending us to the basement, Brad. I see how it is.
And the Obligatory Modesty, where was that again? I missed that one.
The Temple of Obligatory Modesty was
level 1.
Thank you.
Sub-level 1 or just level
Just
1?
level 1.
Level 1.
Okay.
It's the only one not on a sub-level.
Yep. So obligatory modesty is in level 1.
Got it.
So HL1. The Edifice of Tears is on HL SL2 or HL -2, sub-level 2. And the Battery Manufactorum is on Hive level, sub-level 6. I'm just going to put these in a more centralized location for myself as well.
And upon completing my delving, I'm going to unplug and back the fuck away as I'm looking around to see if anybody saw what I was doing.
Give me an awareness sight check. But you're going to notice that awareness sight is probably going to be a very common one. It's just mostly about if you see things.
Yeah, I don't see shit. That's like 6 fails. No,
You're deep in that back door, not paying attention to a thing.
No, that's only 4 fails.
4 fails. You don't see anybody who seems to have noticed what you're doing.
Excellent.
Ooh. All right, then, Dmitry. All good?
I apologize. Hang on, I
around as well.
apologize. I think I told you, I just want to correct something because I think I misspoke on the level. I told you that the Thaler Hostelry, did I say sub-level 17?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
I apologize. That was a misspeak. It's sub-level 7. 10 levels
okay.
higher.
I was going to say
17
that
would
one's
put us into some nasty.
It would put you into some nasty. That's why I was sitting there thinking, I'm like looking at that and I reread where it was and I go, I think I read that wrong and said that wrong.
When you said sub-level 17, I thought to myself, man, I think they misspoke when they said safe house. I think they meant danger house.
Not going there.
Well, you know, basements of hives are pretty gross places.
Welcome to the House of Danger.
So,
Lots of backdooring there,
Dmitry,
too.
to the oh, Lord.
Sorry, couldn't help myself.
Dmitry, to the best of your knowledge, no one saw what you were doing.
Perfect.
I saw
Okay.
everything.
You're very observant, Mordecai. Hey, speaking of which, have you found
We're all very proud of you.
have you found quinoa yet?
I don't know. That guy, he comes, he goes. He's weird, dude. I don't know where he's at right now.
That was still my one of my favorite parts from the beginning was you being like, I'm so observant, and then going, I don't see you.
He
After we
is
realized we did the
remarkably
roll.
unremarkable.
It's a gift, I know.
To be so generic. Oh, actually, not generic, just nondescript.
He's name brand generic.
It's basic.
He is basic. So
The basic of the basic.
the basic of the basic. So
He
the
gets to
lifts-
the front of Starbucks lines.
So the lifts are spitting distance from you. You have maps on Dimitri's data slate. What would you like to do? And
Do we still want to head to the safe house?
Well, our original logic to go to the safe house was to find the things that we don't know where they are. We know where the things are now.
But I mean, also there could be somebody at the safe house. I mean, maybe this ganger Ragu, the big Ragu, is well known. We can glean some information about him from people who live here.
Very
Do we
true.
also know what time of day it is right now?
I was just about to say, let me refresh you on your timeline. So you were awoken at roughly 4:30, hour and a half before you normally are, kicked out of your billets, fed your corpse paste, which is a oatmeal-based derivative of corpse starch, and your recaf, stuck onto a shuttle, dropped off here. The pilot had told you when you got to the landing deck at 5:30 that he had 35 minutes to get you landside. So you touched down at about 6:05 a.m. You have been planetside for all of an hour. It is 7 a.m.
That's a productive morning, guys.
That's a very
geez.
productive couple hours.
Feels a lot more like weeks to me. Anyway, So,
Welcome to tabletop RPGs, where action is better, but
Where the big
timeline doesn't.
The big bad enemy is always scheduling. So with that in mind, to Quinton's question, to your timeline, Roderick, again, being a hiver, you would know that 700 is right before shift changes for any of the manufactorums that run 24 hours a day.
Okay.
It is also part of why the port is so busy at this time, because there are so many people moving both goods and themselves to and from. In regards to your different places to go, you have the Edifice of Tears, where you were told that it was good to find a drink. You have the Cathedrum of Obligatory Modesty. You're not 100% sure what that is. It might be a sick house. It might be something different. Could be a place for individuals to be cared for, or it could be somewhere where they have to, do their penance for the ecclesiarchy. You're not sure. The Battery Manufactorum, self-explanatory. And then the Hostelry, which is, that there's a safe house in that vicinity, and it's a HAB unit. So knowing your timeline, knowing the time of day, where would you guys like to go?
My vote, party, is going to be, let's go in order by sub-level. Let's start with the Cathedral and work our way down. The hostelry is the furthest thing from us.
Seeing as it's so early in the day, I would probably agree with that. We have time.
I would also agree with this.
Let's do it.
All right. So you make your way to the queue for one of these 3 large lifts. And they're not the only lifts in the port, but these are the ones close to you. And you recognize, again, Roderick being a hiver, you recognize that it's an easy way to get level to level.
I'm pretty sure Dmitry and myself were hivers.
Dmitry, are you a hiver?
He is.
I'm looking. Yes. I
need to
Having listened to Session 0 about 5 million times, I'm pretty sure he's a hiver.
Dmitry, have you forgotten where you have come from?
No, but
these worlds, they look the same.
They certainly smell the same.
I'm making an additional note to Dmitry because I believe instead of writing hiver on my notes for Dmitry, I wrote penal colony.
Well, that's where you found me, or that's where what's his face found me.
Why do you associate Mike with penal so heavily?
Yeah, Brad. The hell?
He likes to bring big guns and stack bodies. It's pretty fitting. Okay. You all make your way to these, and then Dmitry and Roderick, being hivers, you recognize where you're heading. You head to the queue. You wait your turn. You enter onto one of these large lifts. As you go to step onto the lift itself, a small floating skull with a single blue eye floats down in front of you, and a voice trips out and goes, "Entry fee to the lift, 1 solar per floor." And a mechanical dendrite extends out from the lower jaw with like a little tray.
Do I know if it, I guess, means 1 solar per floor per person, or 1 solar per floor for the party?
Safe to assume it means 1 solar per floor per person.
Yuck, because I'm poor, son.
I'm gonna cover it for the party.
Okay, so you drop the 4 solars.
Before he does that, I'm going to stop him, grab 1 of the solar from him, and have him drop 3. I want to see if the machine even notices that I'm here.
Ooh.
Jesus.
Ooh. Deep ass.
Okay. Okay. So you take the solar. You pay the 3. The dendrite begins to withdraw. And as the 4 of you go to step onto the lift, the servitor's blue eye almost seems to kind of protrude a beam directly at you, Quinton. It goes, "Solar for entry," and the dendrite re-extends.
I'll drop it onto it and then just start muttering under my breath like, "Goddamn bullshit."
You all enter the lift. You punch the code. Now, Roderick and Mike, both of you being hivers, do me a favor and roll me a quick, roll me a lore, just a quick lore test.
Just generic lore. I don't have any specialties. So
just generic
yes,
lore. If you don't have an associated specialty with hives, or only a generic lore.
Ooh, I actually rolled well, and I don't have any advances. So a 9 out of 26. So 2 plus 2.
Okay.
I rolled less well, but a +1.
Okay. You both thinking about hive worlds specifically, and kind of these lifts and these transits. You both recognize that what just happened is not always common. Sometimes the lifts they just run, but it's not necessarily anything you need to be concerned of. There are hive worlds where solars are charged, and part of that is to, you both know with that role, part of that is to keep the, as the upper levels call them, the rabble in the lower levels. It is also cheaper to go down than it is to go up in most hive worlds. Now, in addition to that, you both know that solars being charged to utilize the lifts is not always common, but being that you just stepped off of a major port of entry, you're not surprised. So just to give
would
you
I
guys a bit of
know
info.
if a less utilized lift might charge nothing or less if we decide to go find one?
You would know with those rolls, you both would know that lifts away from the main port are more likely to not have a charge. You're essentially paying a convenience fee to step off your ship and immediately get to where you need to be.
I get it. I'll mention that on our way into the lift and on its way down. Just like, maybe for the next one, we go grab a bite away from the main area and find someplace a little cheaper to travel up and down, yeah?
And Roderick,
Don't mind covering you guys, but solars are solars. You understand?
This is good thing we are not on business for Emperor.
We are always on business for the Emperor.
Then the
cheap as
floating
going to-
skull should fuck off.
Kino's going to pull out his wallet and actually give 4 solars to each of them.
Okay.
To each of us?
Oh.
I'll take
So
4 solars.
as Quinton does this, and as this conversation is happening,
500 to start with.
the man's got some coin.
You had how much to start with?
The
500.
I had
Slightly offended by
2,300.
the charity.
I
Oh.
have 2,300 solars, bro. I think I'm all right.
Because he's a rich boy, he's an heir.
he's an heir.
Pretty much.
I don't know this about him, Yellow.
I had
you know, take your money.
16.
16.
So as the solars are passing hands, the gates of the grates of the lift drop, and the whirring hazard lights flash briefly as you begin to descend to have level 1. And that's where we will pick up in session 4, episode 4. All right. Well, thank you so. Yeah.
Bad.
Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you hear, please consider checking out our Patreon. As always, you can find us at our website, deadsunsco.com, for access to all of our socials, updates, news, anything good like that. And we will see you at the next episode.